Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back at it again with another tussle with gacha revenue. And this time, it's pretty clear by a lot of the responses seen in the space by some very tribalistic warriors, both on the Hoyoverse side, the Hoyo Shill side, as well as the Hypergriff side, the grifter side. And one thing that's become abundantly clear in just the short few hours since this report has come out, and as we all know, they're just mobile estimates, we'll be getting into that in just a second, people are celebrating. People are ecstatic. And the side that's ecstatic are obviously the ones that have been spreading an insane amount of Wuthering Waves hate right before its anniversary. And of course, we're going to be starting actually from the bottom up, but before we do that, I wanted to take a look at some of the very pointed remarks that have already been made across the space. All the talk about woo-wah breakthrough with 3.1 or 200k live viewers in Bilibili, only for them to revert back to their old deserved place the moment the spending event ends. Getting ready to see 80k. I'm not sure if that's even translated properly. I guess they're trying to say American people here. I don't even know if gringo is the right translation. Tweets saying that woo-wah will do EOS or something like that. The original's in Spanish, so thanks Elon Musk for getting content like this over to me. Love to put it in my videos. But Twitter told me Luke sold more than Yuno and Frolova. Have I been deceived? And probably the best one ever, right? And this is truly where the tribalism starts acting up. How do we tell him? And apparently, right, they're under the impression over here that I've been talking about the EOS of all the games. I haven't been talking about the EOS of any of these except Endfield. And don't worry, that one is actually coming up. And so they show, right, all these different revenue comparisons over here. But of course, omit the most important thing ever when it comes to this conversation. And that is context. And don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, context over here is something that we're going to be providing plenty of as we go through this walkthrough. And just as like a fun final comment from somebody that's, you know, obviously a Wuthering Waves player looking in on the situation, all we got to do is take a look at this one. And I love this one. Actual livestock behavior from the Hoyo fandom. Look at the comments, bro. All of them are so obsessed over Wuthering Waves. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the reality of this game. Anytime this game breathes or does something, you have the conjoined force of 4 retarded communities jumping at the opportunity to try to talk shit about the game. But unfortunately, this is going to be a time where idiots hurt themselves in their confusion because they're actually dumber than Pokemon. So without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's start breaking this all down. And of course, we're going to start off with the game that is supposedly at the bottom over here, Wuthering Waves. So let me give it to you all straight. If you thought Wuthering Waves was going to be some incredible revenue earner in the 3.2 update, you probably have enough disabilities to collect welfare checks from your local government. You were basically told through every single bit of marketing measure, through every single bit of advertisement, that this was not really going to be a bombshell patch. And if you weren't able to come to that conclusion yourself, you're retarded. So just in case you do have the disabilities that I've been mentioning, we're going to go ahead and explain it because I know there's going to be a Hoyoverse player or two who's going to think that this signals the actual end of the game. So as we all know, the on-banner characters in this update were Sigrika and Chuyan. And one thing that's abundantly clear about these two is that Chuyan is Sigrika's partner and you were meant to pull them together. But the thing is that without pulling Sigrika or, you know, having Frolova or Galbraith or any of that, you wouldn't really want this guy. And a lot of people already had him for their teams. And so Sigrika, right, is genuinely supposed to be the main draw of this update, but her best in slot teammate is a man. Understand the player base. Yeah, that's enough to probably nuke her sales on their own, but you also got to factor in with this. She's like a goofy, ditzy character, and her animations truly aren't really at the levels of some of the prior releases that we've had, and so that's going to be a bit of a drawback. But then we also have this, and yes, this is where Hoyoverse players genuinely are, you know, making me question the ability for, you know, critical thinking to happen in the space. Yeah, what's one thing that happened, guys, on the live stream? Yeah, for this update where they announced Sigrika and all of this shit, bro. What is one thing that occurred? Oh, right. They advertised the actual unit that people are excited for on the same live stream where Sagrika's banner gets announced. They show her kit. They do all of this shit, right? And then they even go so far as to have a fucking event story based off this unit. And you want to know what else they do, bro? Bro, they even go so far as to like put, well, you can just see it at the bottom over here, Denya. They put Denya in the trailer as well. And guess what else they do over here? We're just going to go over to the Wuthering Waves page. Brother, what do you... They literally used her showcase to advertise the Threnodian Resonator. Yes, our first, technically second, Threnodian Resonator, known to be one of the strongest ones in the game, and obviously ones with some of the greatest visual effects, all of that. Kuro Games literally was telling people, don't pull on this patch. We're gonna make this Sagrika unit one that basically requires Chuyan to be a real unit. Chuyan's a dude that's gonna turn people off. And also, by the way, as we're like advertising for Sagrika, yeah, we're just gonna show you her. And then in the live stream, we're just gonna show you Hiyuki. So that's pretty obvious at first glance, right? That people were basically told before Sagrika even released, yeah, you should probably skip her. Because what the fuck else is she? An arrow DPS. Oh, God forbid you don't pull an arrow DPS when you have shit like Cardathea. You know, all of that shit in the game. Oh boy, you definitely need a third one, don't you? And the craziest part is, guys, right? It didn't end there. It just kept going. Because naturally, right? Partway through a banner, you're gonna start getting this thing called drip marketing. But you wanna know how much Kuro did not give a fuck about Sagrika? Hiyuki's drip marketing came out on March 24th, right? You wanna know what else came out on March 24th and just got absolutely mogged? Bro, like... This is the funniest shit ever to me. They released her midnight podcast, and then like 2 hours later, dripped Hiyuki. Like, at this point, it's kind of like they just like did not give a fuck about her. Like, they just did not care. They drip market Hiyuki, and they're basically telling you, hey, yeah, so even if you were thinking about pulling Sagrika, and maybe these advertisements, right, had you thinking maybe about pulling Sagrika, then they're just like, yeah, no, go fuck yourself. No, don't do it. No, do not pull this unit. Do not pull Sagrika. Save your Astrites for this unit instead. And then immediately afterwards, right, the next day, you get the drip marketing for Denya. And you're just like, oh shit, wait, she's actually kind of crazy, right? Wait, this is actually kind of ridiculous. And then, guys, you wanna know what else comes out? This is March 25th, right? We just got the drip marketing for all these characters. Bro. Then on March 26th, the day afterwards, the day after the Denya drip marketing, guys, they're just like, fuck it. Fuck it. Show their Residence Liberations. Like, look at how it's like placed after this goofy ass shit from Sagrika, right? Wee! And it's like, oh fuck, wait. Even in like here, the Xbox announcement, Sagrika is getting mogged by Denya. It wasn't enough to get mogged by Denya, right? In her own fucking showcase, bro. Look at the most replayed parts. This is the part that I find this hilarious, bro. It's like, fuck you. Nah, I'm trying to see this shit. Wait, no, I'm trying to see her. It's like, fuck you. Yeah, no, I'm trying to see her. And then it's even like this. Like, this is the only part that even gets, like, slight viewership from Sagrika. And it's still like, fuck you. Wait, Denya shows up again at the end of the showcase? Bro, she shows up at the beginning, middle, and the end. Those are supposed to be the parts that, like, have the most engagement from the audience. And, like, it's just Denya there instead of Sagrika. Why would anybody actually pull this unit in spite, like, with this going on? It was clearly intentional. They griefed the fuck out of her, and I've never seen griefing of this level. And then when you bundle that with the fact that Phase 2 of this banner literally has 2 unpullable units with Zani and Phoebe, and then they just have Lene, who's probably, honestly, gonna sell more than Sagrika than Lene rerun, right? Because Lene is actually broken, right? You just know that this patch was meant to be the save patch, especially when you're like, oh wait, oh shit, she's got a second form. Oh wait, is that Aleph 1 behind her? Oh yeah, she's the Thenodian's Resonator. Bro, you got this goofy ass like Disney, like Bambi looking piece of poo over here, right? And then you got the Thenodian Resonator literally popping up in the next animation, and then you got this where you see Hiyuki, another dual form character, showing up as well, and then she like breaks the screen into a million pieces too. Ladies and gentlemen, it's pretty clear Then they're advertising even more. Oh, by the way, Hiyuki's in Lehigh Roy. She's part of the Space Trek Collective. Oh, by the way, yeah, Denya's over here too. They just started doing all this marketing, all this shit like this, right? And then they cap it off with, fuck it, just show the whole animations. Fuck it. Fuck it. Show that they're both the highest budget units Kuro Games has ever made. Yep. Hey, fuck it. 2 ults on everybody. Ult number 1. Oh, wait, that was kind of crazy. Oh, yeah, wait. She even got the impact frame on her transformation. Who does that? Who puts an impact frame on a transformation, bro? She looks like a demon. So you get that shit. Oh, she also power creeps Yuno with the moon. And then you got the rose petals everywhere. HSR players are in shambles, right? Brother, she got 2 ultimates and a second form. She got 2 ultimates and a second form. You literally just had one of the kind of like most phoned in units in the history of the game, right? With Sagrika, where her advertising is literally getting split alongside Denya's. And then you see Denya over here. Yeah, she got the 2 ults, bro. And then whatever the fuck, bro. This looks like some shit from Halo. I'm gonna be honest over here. This is Kuro Games just telling you, yeah, we don't really expect any sales in the 3.2 patch. Yeah, we kind of don't really expect any sales. This is the skip patch. And it's kind of obvious, right? Before their anniversary, where they release some of the 2 highest budget units ever made, ladies and gentlemen, they make it a skip patch. So yeah, before 2 of the highest budget, highest visual fidelity units that we've ever had, ladies and gentlemen, they make it a skip patch where it's completely unnecessary to pull her. He's super skippable too if you don't have his teammates. And then, of course, who the fuck is pulling Phoebe and Zadi in 2026? And then you maybe want her if you don't have her yet. But how would you not have her when she was the debut banner in 3.0? And if you're looking to see just how much hype there is for Wuthering Waves units, Hiyuki is showing up under HSR 4.1's Twitter post. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Twitter does this thing where they summarize a bunch of tweets that relate to various, things going on, especially in the gacha space. And Hiyuki is popping off so much with her gameplay clip that she's showing up for HSR fucking 4.1 of this Ashvale shit over here. That is how much Wuthering Waves is mogging these other games in the space. It's even going this far. Ladies and gentlemen, is it becoming a little bit more clear now why you might be seeing numbers like this for Wuthering Waves? Kuro Games themselves was telling you not to spend money in this patch. And if you didn't get the memo, you're either right, like a content creator like me who pulls every single character, or you really like redheads. And you know what? Hey, it is what it is. You can do whatever you want. But if you're prioritizing a goofy-ass Bambi Disney redhead over Hiyuki and Denya, then, well, I'm just gonna be honest, you are one very, very, very interesting individual. And this is also the other thing, ladies and gentlemen. 3.2 is a skip patch, but what's going to happen during the anniversary? Oh, right. After the version 2.3 update, and then, of course, after the version 3.3 update, this is actually when people are actually going to spend all their money. Yeah, because the initial top-up bonus reset over here, yeah, it resets. So yes, you get double Lunites on every single purchase. And don't worry, this is when everybody is going to spend their cash, because they've got this, and then they obviously, right, have... Well, let's just be real here. Then like, you really think people were gonna pull Sagrika? Did you really think that people were gonna pull Sagrika? Well, clearly, right? The livestock do. Clearly, right? That's why there's so much talk over here by the Hoyo Shill and the Hyper Grifter communities. Because even though it's very, very, very obvious, right, that Kuro Gaze was basically saying, skip this patch, we don't need the money, fuck it, whatever. Here's Sagrika. Now get the fuck out until the anniversary. Look at these guys just spreading the narrative that Wuwa's going to be EOSing soon, guys. The level of cognitive dissonance required to have that take is absolutely unreal. Because this is also another slice of the pie that people still never talk about. Remember how last year Wuthering Waves was this game that somehow earned $550+ million USD from the 2025 Tencent annual report. Yeah, this shit was released 2 months ago, right? In like, you know, because this annual report, it comes out in like January, February of the next year. Yeah. And if you go ahead and you just transpose 550 plus million USD, right, in 2025 over the actual gacha revenue data from this website, right, you would clearly see, yeah, it doesn't really add up. At most, you're getting like 100, 200 something million from this website. Probably less. Probably actually not even close to 200, right? It's less than half. And so naturally, right, you would assume that a majority of this game's money is made on PC and console. That's what's just obvious when you transpose this data with this data. Do you think a game like HSR has a similar ratio? Do you think a game like Genshin has a similar ratio? No, their mobile spending is way fucking higher. It is way fucking higher on those platforms, especially HSR, which is a fucking turn-based game that only has one button, the auto one. Because the kits in that game are so retarded now, the best way to play it is auto, because you don't really have to think anymore. The only thing you have to do is pull out your credit card and pull the newest unit. And then don't worry, one button gameplay will be yours. So that's all the context, right? That's all the misinformation that we're already addressing. And of course, a lot of it is centered around Wuwa. But like I said before, nothing I've said should really be that surprising. Because if you've been following the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But like I said before, we're here to help out people with disabilities. And so, continuing on that trend of helping out people with disabilities, let's actually start talking about how other games are actually doing horrifically. And the first game that we naturally have to talk about when it comes to horrific performance is Zenless Zone Zero. Because yes, Zenless Zone Zero is a game that's been shitting out characters ad nauseum. And all you kind of really have to do is take a look at this. Yeah, bro, remember those Angels of Delusion? Yeah, you remember those? Super high budget units made for future criminals, right? That, well, all you gotta do is take a look at the ZZZ YouTube page to know exactly what I'm talking about over here. Bro, have you ever seen so much marketing for units before? Look at their YouTube page. Bro, I can't even scroll, and it's just Angels of Delusion ads. I can't even scroll. They're everywhere. These have to be the most, I think these kids were marketed more than Void Hunters. I legitimately think they were marketed more than fucking Void Hunters, and they performed this shit. How in God's name, right? You had Sigrika literally getting fucking griefed. Her midnight podcast didn't even get 3 hours before it got mogged, right? And then ZZZ just went on this like fucking, what even is this? What even is this, bro? And they perform so badly, and they perform so absurdly relative to the amount of marketing, the quote-unquote hype that was there, right? Why don't we explore a little bit? Because there's this one top-up company that is just been dragging the fuck out of this game. And I gotta go ahead and I gotta bring up this post again. ZZZ 2.6 feels way colder than expected for the Angels of Delusion. Are the kits too niche, or is the whole Idol Squad angle just not enough to sell the hype? I don't know. You tell me. Are these not the most heavily marketed units in history? Bro, they even had this. They were marketed during the TGA 2025 special video. Bro, they got more advertising than Yi Shungite. They had more advertising, more content made about them to advertise them than the fucking Void Hunter. That by itself should be a massive embarrassment. And it's even more embarrassing when like, this is what LD fucking shop is posting, bro. They're just out here being like, yeah, they're shit. They're shit. Yeah, no, we got the data from CN, data from chimai.cn, and they're just saying, bro, they are shit. And ladies and gentlemen, when this is like historical data and they're like in like the bottom 5 banners in the game, where they're literally being compared to the male units in ZZZ. They're literally in like, yeah, like bottom 5 or bottom 6 banners in the game. After this much advertising, what do you call this other than a colossal failure? target audience, right? Target audience. Yes, Zenless Zone Zero players. I do believe you have taken the target audience and then convinced all of them to leave the fucking game. Because you want to know what viewership for this game actually looks like? Because of the delusion of the devs of delusion. Bro, this shit is so pathetic, it's unreal. Bro, you can literally see right over here. We're gonna start off with Yi Shungite's release. And then... Bro, what? How do you even do that? Bro, how do you even do that? Nobody wants to play or watch this game. Nobody wants to play or watch this game. It's gonna hit, bro. This shit gonna hit. This shit gonna hit double digits soon. And you want to know what this is? 254 viewers, 55 channels. That's an average of 5 viewers per channel. Bro, this game is at the point where it's averaging 5 viewers per channel. I have almost never seen a ratio that low before. 5 viewers a channel. How does that happen unless the game is dog shit? And this really, truly, genuinely, right, encapsulates this idea over here. Their only source of pride is how much money their low-effort sloppy games milked out of them. It's actually crazy, dogs. But this is the thing. It's like they put so much budget into these. Like, I can't even call this low-effort slop. It's just retarded slop. Because they're focusing so much on what people don't want to pull. It is impressive. But that's Zenless Zone Zero. And clearly, the future for this game looks like it's been mortgaged for a bunch of children. And naturally, you're seeing the results of that here. Because it's ZZZ's anniversary coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Were you told by the devs to skip this patch like Wuthering Waves? Were you told to skip? No. You weren't told to skip this patch. You were actually told, please pull. Please. Please, we need to recoup at least a little bit of our investments. And that's the result that's showing up. And guys, guess what? Why don't I see no announcements like this for Zenless Zone Zero? What? Hey, surely, right? If the game was really doing that well, Hoyoverse would talk about how well it's doing, right? Bro, I've never seen anybody. I've never seen any news from the Hoyo side that ZZZ is, like, actually doing well. Because I feel like there would be something that comes out so they can reassure their player base that it's actually not a shit game. Why is there nothing like this? Why has there never been anything like this for ZZZ? All I've heard the devs say is that the game's bad. And sorry. That's actually all I've heard from these guys. Yeah, the story's shit. Sorry, YFA Peninsula was a fucking disaster. Yeah, we're gonna try to bring it back. We're gonna try to bring it back to 6th Street, boys. Like the Backstreet Boys. They're delusional. They're fucking delusional. And that's the proof that they're fucking delusional. Because how do you spend this much on the advertising, the marketing, and dedicate this much of your fucking channel, right, to these idols, and then they perform this fucking shitty? Thank you for staying with us. Right, wait, let me see. Wait, ZZZ Codes. Thank you for staying with... Wait, that was, like, actually a thing, right? So instead of getting news about how good the game is, bro, you instead get codes with the devs begging you to stay. Wuthering Waves puts out this, right? Tencent puts out this. The ZZD devs, they put out this. ZZZ thanks, ZZZZU, ZZZ4, ZZZ staying, ZZZ with us. Please, please don't leave. They left. Yes, because you're putting out this retarded shit into the game. And not the stuff that people actually want, because you're putting this dumb shit into the game, bro. Please. This game is a colossal fucking failure. You gotta recognize that at this point. And the only thing that is keeping it even slightly alive is its affiliation with Hoyoverse. Because they are fucking everything else up when it comes to this game. That's the ZZZ part of the situation. And so naturally, right, we're gonna have to start going a little bit upwards now. And this is where I'm gonna get into the favorite conversation ever. We got Arknights Enfield. And boy, oh boy, is this game on one of the most diabolical downtrends I've ever seen. However, let's go ahead and let's get the opinion from the retard from Japan first. We've got Ryuku Sensei over here with a enlightened take regarding this game. I don't care about rankings at all, and these numbers are a fraction of the actual revenue, but all I'll say is that I'm glad Enfield seems to be holding strong. So he just contradicted himself in one sentence. That probably has to be like a personal best for him in terms of looking like a fucking idiot. But let's just go ahead and focus on this idea that Enfield is holding strong, getting decent numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, this game is the most unpopular gacha game I've ever seen. I have never seen a game that people have dropped like it's hot this fucking badly before. The amount of advertising, right? The amount of hype surrounding this game. They fucking sponsored XQC, the juicer, to play this game because they're so clueless on how marketing actually works. And currently, all you see is that every time a new version comes out or gets announced, the peak just gets lower and lower and lower, because this is the worst gacha game in history. Legitimately, the worst gacha game I think anyone has ever seen. When have you seen public announcements from so many people that they're quitting the game? Oh, let's take a look at this. What do we got here? Woohoo! Why Giguk is quitting Enfield. Why Sea Dog VA is quitting Enfield. And boy, oh boy, don't we have a bunch of fucking posts from Asmon Gold talking about, oh, fuck it, let's just listen to this, bro.
Crazy. You like Enfield's story? I think the best story for Enfield was the side story with the yak. That was the best. It was better than the main story. That was the only good story in the entire game. Just being honest.
Bro, the game just gets clowned on because it's such a vile piece of shit.
With the poop, yeah.
Literally, the shit story is the best one.
And I mean, it wasn't like, I mean, Enfield to me, I need another button. Like, that's my opinion with Enfield, is that, like, I need one more button for Enfield to be fun. Like, I just think it's just too simple. And I also, like, another thing is that, like, I don't like the gameplay of any of the characters in Enfield. I just don't like it. Like, I don't like it in the same way that, like, there are some characters in Wuthering Waves that I really, or, like, gameplay functions that I really, really like.
You want to know what Enfield does instead with their game mechanics? They tell you, we're removing the dodge button. We're also removing SP generation, so you can't do anything with your characters in the end game. Oh, by the way, go pull this character that shits out SP. Go pull this character that doesn't need to dodge because they're ranged. Please do that. That's these fucking devs, bro. They managed to take their combat, which many saw as mediocre, and make it worse. The combat that many didn't really like in the first place, they just make it worse in their endgame to shill units. Why do you think it's surprising that people are just dropping this fucking game like crazy, bro? Why do you think everybody, when it comes to this shit, just wants to say goodbye? Why are there so many... Sorry, I don't know why it's even zoomed in on here. Why are there so many public figures who got sponsored to play this game are now saying, yeah, I'm not playing it daily? There's a reason for that. Because nobody plays this piece of shit game and nobody watches videos on this piece of shit game unless they're being paid. And nobody makes videos on it either unless they're getting paid. Because you want to know why? I can show you what happens to a channel when they make Enfield videos, even if they're getting paid. Bro, these have to be the two worst videos in I Win to Lose Gaming's discography. Bro, these had to be the two worst videos he's ever made viewership-wise. And they're both sponsored, and they're both for Enfield. Bro, 33K on a new character guide? 33K. Remember how I told you Sagrika was the character you were told not to pull? Mogged. Rossi 55? Bro, how does this even happen, man? Bro, this is insane. This game is a channel killer because it's so bad. This game is a channel killer because nobody wants to fucking watch it. And don't worry, I have the proof. Look, we're looking at YouTube searches, right? YouTube searches. What happens when I put in Oh, wait, no. We're gonna go up, right? We're gonna go up sequentially. Let me put a Zenless Zone Zero. Bro, Zenless Zone Zero has more views, more searching, more engagement than Endfield. Bro, and I told you how shit that game is. It's got more engagement. That's impressive, right? Well, we put a little bit of Honkai Star Rail. One button auto game. Better than... Look at how every game is mogging Endfield. Even ones that are in the middle of, like, filler patches. And of course, right, we gotta put in this game over here. It just gets mogged on a daily basis. This is the reality of Endfield. And the only reason why it's not getting its shit pushed in is because of the ridiculous amount of spending that these bums at Hypergriff did for this game's launch. And then it fell off in the most dramatic fashion I think anyone's ever seen, to the point where people are comparing it to Duet Night Abyss. Then you go ahead and you change it to month. Right? You change it to past month instead. Bro, this shit had the... You change it to month. You take that... You take that ad-boosted, sponsor-boosted month out of the equation, and this is what it looks like on YouTube, bro. And when I see shit like this, where it's the least popular gacha by far on YouTube, right? And then I see shit like this on the I Win to Lose channel, bro. You're telling me that this game is good. Bro, every single person in the space is telling you they're quitting this shit. Every single guide maker is not making guides on it unless they're paid. And then you see that people that regularly get 100, 200k views on their guides are getting 30 on Endfield characters. This game is so shit. It's unbelievable. And it's clear to anybody that's actually played it for an extended period of time that Endfield 1.1 is possibly the most garbage patch anyone has ever seen. And so any level of spending being done on this shit game is only due to its retarded gacha system. Where, of course, well, just save up 120 pulls, bro, when Endfield 1.1 gives you like 60. There's literally no way to pull a character with the pulls that you get in the patch unless you spend money or get lucky. So this game simply acquired a large player base with its disgusting amount of ad expenditures, right? Disgusting amount of ad expenditures, looped, reeled them in, right? And then rug pulled them with 60 pulls. 60 fucking pulls in the 1.1 update. And so, yes, because of how incredibly, retardedly predatory this game is, and how stingy they are with the pulls, and their expiring banner system, and weapon banner that requires you to pull, that's where the spending comes from, ladies and gentlemen. And so, once again, we'll bring in this post over here. Their only source of pride is how much their low-effort, sloppy games milked out of them. It's actually crazy, dog. And that's Endfield players bragging about revenue right now. Ha! Yeah! I got bullied by Hypergriff into dropping 2 Benjamins because otherwise I was gonna lose 90 pity. Like, you just got fucking hooked, bro. You just got fished. You got caught. That's why this game should only be played free to play, because of how predatory this dog shit system is. And everyone knows the gacha system is bad and designed just to milk you as a player. That's why almost every CC I've seen that isn't Fob Master is playing this game free to play. And that's why nobody plays this game daily. That's why nobody makes videos on it. Even the people that were grifting this game since day one. Oh, the best 1.0 experience I've ever seen. Game first, gacha second. Nobody's playing it. Nobody is playing it. Bro, what if we just go into the category right now? Let me just take a look at this shit. Let's check it out real fast. What the fuck is this? Bro, what the... Bro, this motherfucker played GTA RP in the Endfield category. That's how... What... They play a GTA RP, bro. Bro, what is this? Bro, this is viewers high to low. This is high to low. What the fuck is this game category, bro? This is the current popularity of Endfield, man. It's shit on YouTube. It's shit on Twitch. Nobody wants to make videos on it. Nobody wants to stream it either. And the only time people play this fucking game is when they're getting paid to play it. And the only time they make videos on this game is when they're paid to make videos on it. Because who the fuck would voluntarily make guides for a game that gets views like this? Who would voluntarily make content on a game that gets views like this? That's the easiest way to just kill your channel and kill your streaming career. Because this game is so shit, it's unbelievable. And the only reason, like I said before, this even makes money like this is because it's one of the most predatory gacha systems the space has ever seen. And if you don't realize that by now, you are a grifting rat fuck shill. Now, we gotta go up and talk a little bit about Honkai Star Rail. And this is where I'm gonna have the assist tag over here from our good old friends LD Shop, because this shit is legitimately hilarious. So we all know that Honkai Star Rail, right, is a bit of on a filler patch right now. Ashvale is kind of just like, I don't know who the fuck cares about this guy. But look at what they had prior to Ashvale, right? They had the 4.0 release. And who were the new characters, right? Who are the new characters that came out? Oh, yeah, good old Yao Guang, the Elation support, and then Sparksy, the Elation DPS. And these guys were not doing particularly well. But then suddenly something came out. Oh, Silverwolf level 999. She just looks exactly the same as baseline Silverwolf. Everybody fucking knows it. Useless piece of, like, just recycled garbage, cash grab. But suddenly, news of her kit came out. Global passive, a bunch of other things, over-reliance on the 4.0 units. These were obviously the most intentional company-sponsored leaks in Hoyo history. Because look at this. Silverwolf level 999's kit leak had CN HSR players rushing to pull Sparksy. They literally have the data that shows that sales for Sparksy and Yao Guang, because for some reason, both of these characters were available the whole version. For some reason, both of these characters were available for the whole version. I wonder why. Why would they just on a random version? I know it's 4.0, but like there wasn't really a reason, right, for both of these characters to be available for the whole version. Oh, right. They just leaked Hoyo 1000%, right? Just leaked Silverwolf's kit, the anniversary unit with the global passive, right? So that this could happen. Bro, that is how desperate these motherfuckers were to just continue on the trend of being the most predatory, power creep, pay-to-win bullshit game ever fucking created. This game is known for global passives. This game is known for power creep. This game is known just for like being the biggest cash grab garbage that Hoyoverse has ever put out, and it retains that reputation, especially with news like this, where the kit leaks. She's so reliant. The anniversary unit is so reliant on the 4.0 characters that all of these desperate fucking whales go in and just start pulling like crazy. That's kind of nuts, isn't it? That's kind of crazy, isn't it? And of course, remember this, right? This bitch ain't even coming out for like another like 40 days. Sorry, maybe it's like 30 at this point. Remember, the version after 4.0 was Ashvale. It wasn't Silverwolf level 999. They had to wait for 4.0 to end, get through this filler patch, and then Silverwolf level 999 comes out. Bro, Hoyo got their fucking... Bro, they put out the leaks this early. They put out the leaks for this anniversary unit this fucking early so that people would feel pressured to pull for Sparksy and Yao Guang. You just see it right in fucking front of you, bro. And that's all this shit could be. Insane cash grab from a desperate company that only knows how to make the newest unit stronger than all the old ones. That's all they know how to do. And the peak just gets lower and lower and lower every single time because players are tired of it. This player base is getting smaller every single update because it's just the most pathetic shit that I think the space has ever seen. And people know how pathetic it is. And now we've got, of course, the king of all gachas, Genshin Impact. And by king of all gachas, I mean the king of gacha misinformation. Because apparently, right, you see this like 40 million number over here, right? I've been told to take a look at this supplementary information on the side, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news! Some Genshin players are spreading the misinfo that Genshin has made 40 million on mobile, which is fake. So apparently that's what the left is showing over here. And then I guess on the right, you're seeing, well, I guess this is the thing. It's showing revenue of greater than only 20. So 40 could actually be in there. But one thing that we need to point out is that Love and D Space is showing 40 over here. But apparently on App Magic, it only made 10. And guess what you're not going to see on App Magic? Yeah, you're not going to see Endfield in this above 20 million either. So chances are, right, there's a huge possibility that even these numbers are being giga overstated. I'm not going to go ahead and say, because I do think 40 million does actually fall under this umbrella potentially, and App Magic only provides a range rather than exact numbers. But one thing's abundantly clear as well. This is one of the most dog shit Genshin updates that I think the space has ever fucking seen. Bro, do you know what Genshin even came out with? Bro, they had Varka.
Burn! Freeze! Fry! Stormwind!
This was one of the most teased and hyped characters since the release of the game, and then this is like what they did with him. There's nothing to brag about here. This unit is trash. This unit is trash. And then the second half unit, right? It was like fucking G-Buy, like Z-Buy or some shit, bro. Bro, they just put... Oh, wait a second. What the fuck? Wait, where the hell is Z-Buy? Wait, was she not in this update? Was she in the past update? Oh, the patch before? Yeah, okay. So then they have fucking Varka, bro. The most dog shit looking unit in like out of all the newest ones. Like Flynn's, Skirk, and Escoffier all like better than him. They just phoned it in with this fucking guy. And then they just reran 2 more broken fucking characters. They just reran 2 more broken fucking units. Because guess what? Escoffier is a retardedly broken unit. Everyone knows it. Bro, she just comes in. It's just like, yeah, by the way, Freeze is unplayable unless you pull me. And then Skirk comes in. It's like, yeah, by the way, Skirk is unplayable unless you pull her. That's just the new meta of this game. They release a retarded new sub-DPS support healer. Because guess what Linnea does? The 6.5 character. Guess what Linnea does? She is just Geo Escoffier. I have never seen such blatantly lazy, terrible kit design. They just took this unit, every single part of her kit, and just made it for Geo. And that is it. That is Linnea. She even has like a summon that attacks, reduces Geo resistance, heals, does all of that. And so now Geo is just unplayable unless you pull Linnea. Much like how Freeze is unplayable unless you pull Escoffier. Next thing you know, Swirl's going to be unplayable. Or Anemo's going to be unplayable until they put out Pharazon version 2. And then Pharazon version 2 is also going to fucking heal. These guys are just putting out shit-looking characters, right? Because Linnea is probably the biggest piece of garbage I think anyone's ever seen, bro. Sorry. There's also something else we need to mention. They're bragging about revenue. However's players are bragging about revenue when the company can't even afford somebody to QA the fact that Paimon has 2 right legs and a hand that has cancer. Her hand has cancer. What the fuck is... What is that? There's like 17 tumors and like 3 wild growths in there. And they put this in the live stream for the version. Yeah, maybe she was inside their nuclear reactor. She is 70% uranium in this splash art because these guys are either abusing AI or their artist has 17 disabilities and somehow didn't see this before shipping it out. $billion company, right? And then they proceed to release this nightmare of a fucking character where I've never seen a 5-star that looks this much like a 3-star before. Bro, what even is this? Bro, is this supposed to be like a unit that like costs like the same amount as others? Bro, what is... This is just shit. But don't worry. Who needs good animations? Who needs good kit quality when you just make the character broken? Because she's just Geo Escoffier. Heals, buffs, off-field damage, Geo resistance down. She just does everything. And if you don't have her, you won't be able to play Geo anymore. Much like how Escoffier made it, you can't play Cryo anymore without her. Oh, she also has Lunar Crystallized too, so you could just go fuck yourself repeatedly again. That's the kit design in this game, bro. Just release broken, retarded shit and make it so that the game's unplayable unless you pull them, and then put no effort into the character design. That is their meta, bro. That is their meta when it comes to this game. And ladies and gentlemen, if everything when it comes to Genshin being a dog shit poo-poo game wasn't enough, we've got another compilation over here for you all. For those bragging Genshin Impact players that just can't stop talking about how much money the game is making. Well, look at how Hoyoverse is taking the money that you're spending and reinvesting it into the game with this amazing, amazing compilation over here. Totally not recycled. Custom animations for every single character. Definitely looks like a multi-billion-dollar company, right? That is constantly improving, making the game better and better every update, right? That's Natlan, by the way. And I think that's Nodcry too, by the way. Oh, that's just a playable character, by the way. Damn, she hit him with the she hit him with the ninjutsu clone art, bro. It's just, I don't know how she managed to do that perfectly 4 times. Damn. Hey. At least you know Hoyoverse is all about gender equality, right? Everyone gets to do the same thing. How can one company be this lazy? How can one company be this lazy, man? Bro, how are you bragging about this? This is like you bragging about buying a Subway footlong sandwich for $15. You know it's not worth that much. You know you're eating shit, but you're just like bragging about how much it costs and the fact that you paid for it. It's like bragging about buying a McDonald's Big Mac for like $15 nowadays. Bro, you know it's trash. Why are you bragging? That's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. That's the truth of Genshin Impact. And even after 6 years of service, it still fucking somehow doesn't get better. Amazing. And so once again, all we gotta do is bring up this shit, man. Their only source of pride is how much their low-effort sloppy games milked out of them. It's crazy, dogs. How else can you think anything other than that when this is what they're pumping out in their latest fucking update, bro? This dog shit character, this dog shit splash art with dog shit Q&A, and of course, they're right off of the back of
Thunder! Up the ante! Charge!
Bro, the voice direction in the recording booth was just yell. Fuck it, bro. Just yell. Hey, we'll take your first take. Just yell. These games are all in some of the most diabolically, unimaginably awful spots I've ever seen. HSR, right before its anniversary, with more power creep and stupid-ass mechanics. Genshin releasing another low-effort piece of slop, and then also accompanying it with AI slop as well, with an unbalanced kit. And then, of course, ZZZ with its focus on the target audience of future criminals instead of actually the units that people want. And so they're just taking the game and driving it right off a fucking cliff. And then Endfield over here is just the most embarrassing shit I think anyone has ever seen in a recent gacha release before. And everyone is just publicly saying the game is bad and that they don't want to play it. And then they prove it by nobody playing it on Twitch unless they're fucking paid to. And nobody making videos on it unless they're fucking paid to. And all of these guys are over here. They're conjoining together, right? They're teaming up. They're trying to have a bit of a tussle, a bit of a battle, right? Dunk on all these, on this one other game, when this one other game, ladies and gentlemen, was literally telling you, the devs were telling you, don't pull her, pull these guys instead. Don't spend money on this patch because, of course, right, you're going to have the top-up bonus next reset. And then, of course, hey, just take a look at these kits too. They both have 2 forms and they both have 2 ultimates. Imagine trying to make a point. Imagine trying to paint this narrative when this is the context surrounding it. And it's really impossible to do that, right? Or it's impossible to believe that narrative unless you're stupid. And if you want some additional proof over here that all, right, of this engagement over here from Hoyoverse, from Hypergriff, all this bullshit, right, is just propped up only by advertising, look no further. You can see over here for Wuthering Waves during 3.2, Kuro's out here only pushing out like 200 ads because they know the 3.2 version is not going to be very popular. Then you go ahead, you look at Griffline. In the last 7 days, I'm sorry, is that 5,000? Yeah, that looks like 5,000 to me, bro, over the last 7 days. Sorry, 400 over here. And then over the last 30, it's 5,000. For Wuwa, over the last 7 days, it's 50. And then over the last 30, it's 200. And then for Hoyo, 1,000 ads over the last 20 days, or the last 7 days. And then 2,000 over the last 30. Bro, that is what these guys are spending to try to acquire players, but the games are so fucking bad that all these ads, all this spending doesn't even translate into, like, actual reasonable performance. The difference is insane. They want to advertise instead of actually make a good product. That's the Hoyoverse and Hypergriff way. What a joke. But ladies and gentlemen, keep this in mind. This is the Hoyoverse community we're dealing with here. This is the Endfield community that we're dealing with here. And when the games are in such imaginably bad fucking states, the only people still playing and chilling them, right, have to be fucking idiots. And that much is a fact. Because how do you shill Genshin in its current state? How do you shill HSR in its current state? How do you shill Endfield of all games in its current state? And how in God's name are you shilling Zenless Zone Zero in its current state? You can't. These games have nothing to look forward to in the future, while Wuthering Waves has everything to look forward to in the future. And so why do you think, right, there's so many individuals out there trying to talk some shit about Wuwa, right? So many people talking about how, ooh, random VFX and animations, right, they mean nothing. C6 Technari owner. C6 Technari owner is telling you about random VFX and animations, all this shit don't equal quality. Get the fuck out of here, you retarded Hoyo shill. People try to compare and say that Elysia from HSR's animation was AI copied to make Hiyukis when the poses and shit, I guess Hoyo invented bows. That's a take you would make if you were disabled. And then, of course, right, attacking VAs and saying Wuwa's voice direction is the worst ever when Wuthering Waves literally mogs every other gacha on the market when it comes to voice direction. Good golly gee. The delusion is unreal. And why do you think there would be so many attacks from all of these communities against Wuthering Waves unless they were scared? Unless they actually knew that this was really good stuff. Unless they actually knew it was quality. Because that's what it is. Because they have no leg to stand on when all of their games are in such awful states. And we covered all of them today. We covered the entire situation. And so hopefully this has painted a picture that's very, very, very clear. Let me know what you all thought. Peace out.